Here is the full birth story of my baby boy. I officially have a 3-week-old. When they say time flies, I truly get the meaning of that statement now. I'm already starting to forget some parts, so I figured I would film this now to try to get everything included. It was the day before my due date, August 31st. My due date was September 1st. I went to bed August 31st, just really tired, but feeling pretty normal. I woke up around 2 a.m., went to the bathroom, and I'm pretty sure it was my mucus plug that I had lost and I had a little bit of bloody show. And then I started cramping really bad and I was like, this is a contraction. I hadn't had any real contractions up until then, just Braxton Hicks. And they say that you really do just know that you're what a contraction is versus a Braxton Hick. It felt like a really bad period cramp. I started timing them probably like an hour later and they were like 7-ish minutes apart. So from 2 a.m. to about 6 a.m. they were like 7, sometimes 5 minutes apart. I texted my sister who doesn't live here. She lives in a different state, but she's a labor and delivery nurse. And I was like, I think I'm having contractions. They're about 7 to 5 minutes apart. She's like, start timing them. So I downloaded an app and I started timing the contractions. They were just getting closer and closer together. I was still able to talk through them, but not well. I called her and she was like, you should call your doctor. You should just go in. You never know. I didn't want to be someone that would go in and then get sent home though. So I waited a little bit longer and then I called her again and I was in tears and she's like, you need to go in. You can no longer talk through them. You need to go in, get checked. Who cares what they think? Go get checked. So I called my midwife and they were like, yes, go in. At this point, they were like 4 minutes apart and I couldn't talk to them very well. The best way I can describe how they felt is like a really bad period cramp, and they really are like more towards your butt and not so much just like tightening of your stomach like a Braxton Hick would be. This whole pregnancy, I was like, I'm just gonna trust my gut and I'll know when I know, and I really did know. I was like, okay, it's time to go in. My sister recommended that I eat something. I really did not want to eat anything. I hadn't slept that night before, but I knew I needed to get something in, so I had a protein shake, and then we went to the hospital. Put us in triage, which is like the in-between area, to make sure that I was dilated enough to be admitted. Triage from like 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. I first got there, I was at a 2.5 centimeters and like I think like 60% or 70% of face. They said my cervix was very soft though. They kept checking me every hour when I was in there. I was having very regular contractions, very painful ones, trying to breathe through them, but I was like, this better be real because I do not want to go home with this sort of pain. They were checking baby's heart rate, checking mine. Everything looked good. Everything looked healthy. Around 11 a.m., I think I might be a little bit off on the times, but around 11 a.m. they checked me again and I was at a 4 centimeters, so they officially admitted me. My water hadn't broken or anything. They admitted me around 11:30. The hospital gown on, went into the room and I was like, holy shit, this is real. Sent Sean to get our bags from the car. I was having a ton of back labor. Pretty much all my contractions were in the back. Once I was admitted, I spent a lot of time on the birthing ball, the bounce ball. They thought because I was having so much back labor that baby was possibly sunny side up. I think it was from like 11 a.m. to I want to say like 4 p.m. I was just having contractions. I had my IV, but I didn't have any like fluids or anything. No epidural yet. I was between the ball, just like standing up and humming and like swaying back and forth in a lot of pain. I would say my pain level when I had a contraction was like an 8. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, the pain wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. The worst part was that it was just exhausting. You don't have a ton of time in between each contraction to like take a little nap or like take a little rest. Eventually I got into the bed and I was laying on my side and just like holding onto the bar of the bed and trying to breathe. I remember I didn't do a ton of birth prep. I really just went into this like, I'm just gonna trust my body. I didn't have any big plans like epidural or no epidural. I just wanted to see what it was like, try to go as long as possible, just really try to experience it. It was very quiet through this whole process, like not really talking to Sean, not really talking to the nurses, just like very quiet and like in my own zone. I brought a birthing comb and I completely forgot that I even had it. I wish I would have used it because I feel like that would have been a good distraction. At one point where I was laying in the bed on my side and I was just like not yelling out, but I was like, I am so tired, like I am exhausted, this is exhausting. The nurses were wonderful, supported me as much as they could. They put me in different positions. They showed Sean how to do counter pressure on my back, which does help a lot. I would recommend practicing with your partner like counter pressure. Like honestly, overall the contractions, I don't know if I just had it up in my head that it was gonna be the most painful thing in the world. Although they were painful, knowing in your mind that kind of like a mountain, they will peak and then they'll go back down, so you get a little bit of a relief. But I was to the point where I wasn't getting much relief in between them, so I was just so tired, hadn't slept in like over 12 hours at this point. There was a point where I was laying in the bed on my side and I just remember bawling my eyes out like, I am so tired, I don't know if I can do this. And the nurse was like, do you want to try getting in a bath? You could do get in the shower. She was offering so many different alternatives. She's like, how about this position? How about this position? So we tried them all. And she was like, you know that you can get pain relief medications. You don't have to get the epidural. There's other things, like you could get a little bit of fentanyl. It does make you very tired. And I was like, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just get the epidural. But in that moment, before giving birth, I wasn't really scared of the epidural. But in that moment, I was like, I said out loud, I am so scared to get the epidural. And she really talked me through it. She's like, what makes you so nervous about getting it? I think just like the idea of a needle going into my back in that moment really scared me. I wasn't expecting to have that fear. At that point, I decided to get the epidural, but I wanted to know how dilated I was before getting the epidural. I feel like the worst part of labor is getting checked. I hated getting checked. I didn't get any cervical checks before I went into labor, so I had no idea. Like at all of my midwife appointments, I never got cervical checks. I was like, will you check me one more time before I get the epidural? I'm just curious what I'm at. She checked me and I was at a 6.5, and I was like, wow, I made it this far. And she's like, you're amazing. Like, you keep going. You can absolutely do this, or I support you if you want to get the epidural as well. Sean didn't have any opinion, and I, at that point, was so at peace. I was like, I'm gonna get the epidural. Like I said, I did not go into this wanting a no epidural birth or wanting an epidural. Like, I was so undecided about it. I was just so at peace with like trusting my body, listening to my body, and in that moment I was like, it's time to get the epidural. Anesthesiologist came within like 15 minutes, super fast. I got really silent. I was really nervous. For some reason I had it in my head that I had to get the epidural when I was in active contraction. The nurse was like, no, that's not how it works. You do have to sit really still, and it takes about like 12 minutes to get the epidural, so odds are that you will be having a contraction while you're doing it, and you have to be still, but it's not necessarily we have to wait for a contraction to insert the needle. Although I was nervous, I was ready. Like, I was just at peace with that decision. Most asked questions, I'm more naturally minded. So many of you are asking me, like, why did you decide to get the epidural? Why didn't you do a natural birth? I didn't go into it having either opinion. Like, I was just going to be at peace with listening to my body, and my gut was telling me to get it, so I got it. The anesthesiologist was amazing, so fast, probably less than 12 minutes. If you are scared about getting the epidural, it was painless, completely painless. I think because I had gone through all that pain before, like, that was the least of my concerns in the moment. Literally didn't feel it. The only thing I did feel was like a little ting on my right side, like once the needle was in and the numbing medication like went through. It's like a little, like, I felt like a little bit of an electric shock. Completely painless though. Like, the numbing shot even, completely painless. It was easy for me to sit still. The anesthesiologist, like, I expected to come in as a first-time mom at a 6.5 centimeters, you being in a way different state of mind. I don't know how to say this, but getting up to a 6.5 centimeters really wasn't as painful as I thought it would be. Like, even right before I got the epidural, I was like, this is not that bad. I don't know if I just had in my head that it was gonna be horrible. The biggest thing was that it was just exhausting. Like, my body could not rest. I was not resting. It was bad. It was really nice that I went into labor on my own, and I got to a 6.5 within less than 10 hours. So that was really nice. It was progressing really quickly. Got the epidural, immediately relaxed, just like peace of mind, completely numb. It took really well on both sides. It was even on both sides. I was numb. I laid back in the bed, and I feel like I could finally take a really good deep breath. I recommended that I take a nap, and I really wanted to take a nap, but like, I just feel like our adrenaline, we really couldn't take a nap, so we ended up watching like Big Brother. I feel like I was in and out a little bit. I slept a tiny bit. They broke my water like 2 hours later. When they broke my water, there was some, I forget the exact name, meconium? There was green. It was very green, they said. I didn't feel a thing when they broke my water. It didn't hurt at all. I was numb. The catheter didn't hurt at all either. I was nervous about that. Didn't feel a thing. The doctor, after he broke my water, was like, holy cow, that's a huge sack of water, and it's green, so there will be some NICU people when you give birth, just in case we're a little bit worried that baby maybe inhaled some poop womb. So we're gonna have the NICU team in here as well. There's gonna be extra people during your birth. Just want to give you a heads up. They broke my water, and then things really stalled out. I took my water around like 6 p.m. I didn't progress at all through that night. And then around like 1 a.m. I would say, I think they started the Pitocin around 1 a.m. I don't remember the exact time, but they started a little bit of Pitocin, I think at like a 3 or a 4. Checking me every hour and a half, and around 4 a.m. I was complete. 10 centimeters, completely painless. I didn't feel a thing. I got a tiny bit of sleep, but I was really tired. As I'm telling this story, I feel like overall my birth story was like kind of boring. It was like picture perfect for me, but nothing like crazy or anything happened. Like 4:35, they were like, okay, it's time to start pushing, and I was like,